So we ended at where Maharaj says, pick up your rubbish, seems to be the universal law and a just law too. So questioner says, am I permitted to ask you, how did you go beyond the mind? Maharaj says, by the grace of my Guru. Questioner says, what shape did his grace take? Maharaj says, he told me what is true. Questioner, what did he tell you? Maharaj, he told me I am the supreme reality. Questioner, what did you do about it? Maharaj says, I trusted him and remembered it. Questioner says, is that all? Maharaj says, yes, I remembered him. I remembered what he said. Questioner says, you mean to say that this was enough? Maharaj says, what more needs to be done? It was quite a lot to remember the Guru and his words. My advice to you is even less difficult than this. Just remember yourself. I am is enough to heal your mind and take you beyond. Just have some trust. I don't mislead you. Why should I? Do I want anything from you? I wish you well. Such is my nature. Why should I mislead you? Common sense too will tell you that to fulfill a desire, you must keep your mind on it. If you want to know your true nature, you must have yourself in mind all the time. Please highlight. You must have yourself in mind all the time if you want to know your true nature. Until the secret of your being stands revealed. Primordial awareness itself reveals itself to you. You cannot go hankering for it. How many of you kept trying in Samadhi? The I should collapse, the I should collapse. When is this going to collapse? When is this going to collapse? You can't demand it. You cannot demand it. You cannot seek for it. You cannot hanker for it. The more you hanker, the more you rake up the mud. Now the settled perception, sensation, thoughts and feelings again start coming up. No, it will reveal itself when it is time. You simply be. You be the witnessing awareness. That's it. That's your only job. Clear? The I will collapse and the supreme reality will reveal itself to you. Another very important thing is, Maharaj says, I will never mislead you. Maharaj didn't take any money for his teachings. He opened up even his humble house to people because there was no place. So, if people wanted to come and meet him there, he used to open up the house. If they called him somewhere, he went and spoke, but he never took money. In fact, if you see the documentary Rays of the Absolute, in that he says, that which needs publicity is not the truth. Because the truth can stand alone. Falsehood needs a crowd. It needs all this beauty and all this periphery, name, fame, money, power, glamour. It needs all that. But truth can stand alone. Truth does not need all this. Yeah, so therefore he did not allow publicity. He did not jump into marketing and money and all those things. It was the Westerners who said, we want to compile your teachings. He said, you do what you want. I am not jumping in. I will not get into all this. That's why it's not a book that is written by him. You know that, right? These were just recorded on the old time audio cassettes, and people who knew Marathi sat and typed them down into Marathi, and then the Westerners sat with the people who knew Marathi and English, and their English was not perfect, you can see. So whatever little bit they got from the translations of the middlemen, that's how your book has come. So it is not perfect because of that reason that Maharaj never spoke in English. He was not interested in getting the books out. Not even the Marathi book that has been typed from the audio tape. So he was not of that mentality to increase his thing and create an ashram. He was not into organization. He was not into building something. He didn't want it to be a path. He wanted everybody to become spiritually independent. That was the beauty. That is a true teacher. The same thing is with Ramana Maharshi. Ashrams were created by people for them, not by them. So that is the beauty of Maharaj. You must be able to see that. So he says, if you want to know your true nature, you must have yourself in mind all the time until the secret of your being stands revealed. So questioner says, why should self-remembrance bring one to self-realization? Maharaj says, because they are but two aspects of the same state. Self-remembrance is in the mind. Self-realization is beyond the mind. The image in the mirror is of the face beyond the mirror. So what is he saying? What is the image? And what is the face? Witness consciousness is the image. And what is the face? Pure consciousness or primordial awareness is the face. So when you recognize the witness consciousness, what are you doing? Self-remembrance. When the witness collapses automatically, what is that? Self-realization of primordial awareness. Is this clear? Yeah? Now you wrote the meanings down. Now read it that way. Because they are but two aspects of the same state. Witness consciousness is in the mind. Primordial awareness is beyond the mind. The image in the mirror is of the face, means the sense of I am belongs to the pure consciousness, which is beyond. So questioner gets it. He says, fair enough. But what is the purpose? Maharaj says, to help others, one must be beyond the need of help. Questioner says, all I want is to be happy. Maharaj says, be happy, to make happy. Questioner says, let others take care of themselves. No, make happy for me. Just be happy, he's saying. So Maharaj says, sir, you are not separate. The happiness you cannot share is spurious. Spurious means fake. It's not real, it's fake. The happiness that you cannot share is fake, spurious. Only the shareable is truly desirable. Be very clear. Whenever there is the self-centered thing arising in you, selfishness all about you, it's not going to bring you any happiness. And you've noticed this in life. When you do something just for yourself, it never stays, never stays. Everything and everybody is included in my happiness, then it stays, it lingers on, its deliciousness lingers on. Sir, you are not separate. The happiness you cannot share is spurious. Only the shareable is truly desirable. Questioner says, right, but do I need a guru? What you tell me is simple and convincing. I shall remember it. This does not make you my guru. Maharaj says, it is not the worship of a person that is crucial, but the steadiness and depth of your devotion to the task. Yeah, so stop there, highlight it, ask yourself, do I have steadiness and depth of devotion towards my own spiritual progress, towards my own seeing of my true nature? Life itself is the supreme guru. Be attentive to its lessons and obedient to its commands. When you personalize their source, you have an outer guru. When you take them from life directly, the guru is within. Remember, wonder, ponder, live with it, love it, grow into it, grow with it, make it your own. The word of your guru, outer or inner. Put in all and you will get all. I was doing it. All my time I was giving to my guru and to what he told me. Clear what he means? Listen to that inner voice, that inner guru that is commanding you again and again. It tells you, see, This is right and this is wrong. Don't you get an inner conscience pinch when you do something wrong or even think something wrong? Have you realized it? One little pinch you get. And when you do something wrong, it's a stronger punch. And then, of course, life also teaches you by giving you either a reward or a punishment in return for what you thought or did. So recognize it. Life is teaching you lessons. Life itself is your guru. And where is this life? What does it mean? It is this flow, the body, mind, world flow. That is life. So he's again and again telling you the guru is within. You see that? Yes? You attempt to become spiritually independent, not relying on external gurus, temples, mosques, idols, pictures, worshipping, books, ideas, no concepts. Nothing of the waking world is worshipable. Become very clear. It is all an illusion, my projection. If I want to go beyond it, I have to drop everything here. Everything here. I am a writer by profession. Can you give me some advice for me specifically? Maharaj says writing is both a talent and a skill. Grow in talent and develop in skill. Desire what is worth desiring and desire it well. Just like you pick your way in a crowd, passing between people, so you find your way between events without missing your general direction. It is easy if you are earnest. What is he talking about? What crowd? How do you make your way through the crowd? What are you really dodging? Waking projection goes, next waking projection goes, next waking projection goes. What is there beyond that waking projection? When it goes, before the next comes, what is there? I am there. I am there. I am there. So what do I have to dodge? The waking projection itself. Dodge and keep jumping to the gaps. A point will come when there'll be no more jumping. You'll recognize it is the background. And from the background, you will realize it's not a 2D background. It is an infinite space. It's 3D. Step by step you get there. You make your way through the crowd means what? This waking projection is so overwhelming. Don't get lost in it. Look at that which is the background of it. Look at that which is the gap. Look at that which is beyond. Make your way through the crowd. Desire right means what? Inwards. This is all wrong desire. Any desire in this outward direction is wrong, is going to cause suffering. Is this very clear? Any desire in the outward direction is raga or dvesha, craving or aversion. It is going to lead to problems in the world for me. So what do I have to really dodge? The world itself. Do you see, the ego doesn't like it. It loves its world so much. No, it's very attached to a relationship, to an object, maybe to name, fame, money, whatever. It's attached to something out there. Recognize that. It doesn't like it. No, I want to find a way in this world. Arey, what are you going to dodge? The problem is all of the world. You have to dodge the entire world. You cannot try to find something there. It's not there. So that is the meaning of grow in your talent and develop in skill, but desire what is worth desiring and desire it well. Yes, there is only one thing worth desiring, the supreme reality, knowing my true nature, nothing else. Just like you pick your way in a crowd passing between people, so you find your way between events. What is there between two events? The gap. Without missing your general direction. So what is your general direction? From gap to gap to gap to gap to gap to gap to gap. It is easy if you are earnest. That is the most important thing. So questioner says, so many times you mentioned the need of being earnest, but we are not men of single will. We are congeries of desires and needs, instincts and promptings. They crawl over each other, sometimes one, sometimes another dominating, but never for long. So basically he's saying, where am I one person? I am just desires, desires, desires. Congeries means heaps, a major accumulation, big bundle, heaps of desires, one over the other, one dominating the other, crawling over each other. That is what he feels he is. So Maharaj says there are no needs, desires only. Recognize this. There are no needs, there are desires only. Questioner, to eat, to drink, to shelter one's body, to live. Maharaj says the desire to live is the one fundamental desire. All else depends on it. What is that one desire? Jijivisha. The desire to live, the desire to exist is the one fundamental desire. All else depends on it. Questioner, we live because we must. Basically, he's saying, I don't have an option. So Maharaj says, we live because we crave sensory existence. Please highlight. So now this you can see in your own Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. Why does that I come out of the deep sleep state when it has got all the rest, all the happiness, all the peace in the world, all the contentment? All this is only pain. Why does it come out of it? Tell me. Because of the craving to experience and to exist. These are two parts of Jijivisha. First part is to be, and the second is to experience. When you put both together, you crave sensory existence. Sensory part is the experiencing, the lust for experiencing part, and existence part is the lust to be. That is the full meaning of Jijivisha. So we live because we crave sensory existence. Questioner says, a thing so universal cannot be wrong. Maharaj says, not wrong, of course. In its own place and time, nothing is wrong. But when you are concerned with truth, with reality, you must question everything, your very life. By asserting the necessity of sensory and intellectual experience, you narrow down your inquiry to search for comfort. Questioner is saying, how can it be? We all live, and how can living itself be wrong? So Maharaj is saying, that's not what I said. I didn't say living is wrong or wanting to exist is wrong. But where inquiry is concerned, where you really want to find your true nature, then you will have to question life itself. Have the courage to question life itself. Why do I want to live? What is the meaning of existence? Why do I want to experience? Where is the root cause? Where do I see this sprouting from? Where does it begin? Can I see the beginning point? This is self-inquiry on life itself. Yeah, so Maharaj says, if you are concerned with the truth, with reality, you must question your life. The problem with you is you only want comfort, pleasure. That's it. That's all you're concerned with. Then you do what he says in the next line. By asserting the necessity of sensory and intellectual experience. Asserting the necessity means saying, oh, I need this. I need to watch this Netflix movie. I need to be with my beloved. I need to eat my favorite food. Why? Because all this gives me pleasure. This is asserting the necessity of sensory experience. I need to do this. I need this pleasure. I need this pleasure. By asserting this and the intellectual experience, both sensory and intellectual, you narrow down your inquiry only to comfort. You're not narrowing down your inquiry to the truth. Who am I? No. You're only searching for comfort. Search for reality cannot be comfortable because you have to question your own life. It's so hard on the ego, no? Yeah, so you have to be prepared for that. It's very hard. So questioner says, I seek happiness, not comfort. Maharaj says, beyond comfort of mind and body, what happiness do you know? Questioner says, is there any other? Maharaj says, find out for yourself. Find out for yourself if there is any other happiness. You are only thinking happiness is comfort of body and mind. Is that true? No, there is a higher level of happiness. Find that out for yourself. Question every urge. Hold no desire legitimate. Krishna says this to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Prajahati yada kaman. Whenever a desire comes up, say bye-bye to it. Prajahati. Bid it farewell. He's saying the same thing. Hold no desire legitimate. Question it. Do I have to fulfill this desire? This desire has come up. Do I really need to fulfill this? Do I have to really taste this? Do I really have to touch this? Do I have to go and do this? Question every desire. Is this legitimate? Even before you open your mouth and speak, is this legitimate? The desire first comes at a mental picture level before it is physically manifested. There you have the power to recognize it. Right at the mental picture level. Remember when you were coming for the one-on-one, first you had a mental picture of what you're going to talk to Ekta, and then you came for the one-on-one and the question answer manifested. Yes? So you know what is a mental picture, and you've had it today's day only. So you've recognized it. Every desire first creates a mental picture and then it projects in the gross manifestation. So recognize, even before I'm going to ask a question, first there is a mental picture of the question. Then question, do I really have to speak? Do I have to ask like this? Do I have to say it this way? Is it required? Is it right? Is it legitimate? Question yourself. Flow's job is only to bring up that desire till the mental picture is created. That is the flow. After that, it's in your hand to react to it or withdraw. That's why I say you're all powerful. What you project, you can withdraw. Your only problem is the veiling power of Maya veils this power of yours from you. You don't see that you can withdraw. You feel that you are helpless. You feel that, oh, I have to react. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. For example, very simple example, at dinner, something was very tasty. Yes, your stomach said, I am done. Tongue said, one more. The job of the flow was to bring up that desire to the tongue level, one more. Yes, you had the option to either listen to the stomach or to react to this thing that came from the flow. When you reacted, then you suffered. Yeah, oh, later it's hurting. I shouldn't have overeaten. I'm feeling more sleepy. Or you step on the scale and then you regret, oh, I'm 10 pounds up. 10 pounds mein, yeah. Kgs. 5 kgs up. I didn't expect this. You recognize your body is listening to the mind, and if the mind is not disciplined, your body reflects it. Recognize this moment to moment to moment to moment, moment to moment to moment. You have the power. Find out for yourself. Question every urge. Hold no desire legitimate. Empty of possession, physical and mental. Free of all self-concern. Be open for discovery. So be empty of possession. None of this is mine. None of this. It's very easy. It's harder to say, oh, this speech was mine, this action was mine, this world is mine, this beloved is mine. It's a lot of work. This body is mine, this mind is mine. Taking responsibility of so much is only burdensome. Become empty of possession. None of it is mine. You are the witness consciousness. It's very simple. It's all cut out in one stroke of the sword. The world is not mine. So, empty of possession. Physical and mental both happen in one stroke of the sword. You become free of all self-concern. All self-concern drops away. Then there is no I, my. Why do you think I would do this? What do you think about me? My, this, my, that, my, why. All this drops away. Last is be open for discovery. If you're not open, will you be able to get to the witnessing? If you don't get to the witnessing, will you ever recognize your supreme reality as the primordial awareness? No. So the first step is being open. If you're closed, then you're stuck with words. Do you see that? You intellectualize, you analyze, you get stuck with words. When you're open for discovery, you're ready to put the words aside and simply see. That is discovery. Discovery is not through words. Can you discover through words? No. You discover by seeing, by investigating and by seeing. So investigate. Have more interest in inquiry and investigation, not in analyzing and intellectualizing. Clear? Questioner. It is a part of Indian spiritual tradition that mere living in the proximity of a saint or sage is conducive to liberation, and no other means are needed. Why don't you organize an ashram so that people could live near you? Look at Maharaj's answer. The moment I create an institution, I become its prisoner. He was not a slave to anything. The moment I create something, I will become a prisoner to it. Why? Because it becomes the waking projection, no? From a desire, no? And then he's caught in it. The moment I create an institution, I become its prisoner. As a matter of fact, I am available to all. Common roof and food will not make people more welcome. Living near does not mean breathing the same air. Please highlight. It means trusting and obeying, not letting the good intentions of the teacher go to waste. I would say you don't even have to trust. You see. You don't have to trust what Ekta is telling you. You just see. If you see, it's good enough. You have seen it. Now you cannot unsee what you have seen. So see. You don't even have to trust. Once you see, you'll obviously follow that. There is no obeying. It's a natural flow then. Clear? Have your Guru always in your heart and remember his instructions. This is real abidance with the truth. Physical proximity is least important. Please highlight. Yeah, that's why I say do not get attached to the physical form. Physical proximity is least important. Make your entire life an expression of your faith and love for your teacher. This is real dwelling with the Guru. Again, he's not talking about the physical Guru. What's the name of the chapter? Life is your Guru. Don't get confused. He is not telling you to make an external physical form your Guru. Yeah? These insights that you see in your direct seeing, they are shown by your inner Guru. Look at that light. I understand sometimes your inner light goes off. Yeah? Battery down. I understand that completely. That's when Ekta comes into the picture. She's shining her torch on your path. Your job is to keep looking at the lighted path, not look at Ekta. What is your problem? Where do you get stuck? You start looking at Ekta. You want to speak to her. You want to unnecessarily come to one-on-one and just chit-chat. No, now you're stuck to the name and form. She's already given you the instruction. She showed you how to do the samadhi. She showed you how to do SNGS. Means she's shown her torch on your path. You start walking, automatically your light comes on. Then she withdraws her torch. She withdraws her flashlight. Now you have your inner light lighting your path. And I know again battery down is going to happen. You walk 2 steps, again your battery is down. Again she's there. But don't become dependent on her light. Yeah, she's just lighting the path. You look down on your path and walk. You don't start turning back and looking at her. Is this very clear? That is the meaning of being spiritually independent. Not getting attached to the name and form of a teacher. It's very important, because where is Ekta limited to? Waking state. Waking state. Don't get caught up. Come here just so that your inner light gets enough battery and it can charge up and start on its own. Then you walk. Now you don't need Ekta. It is for you to recognize that you can be spiritually independent. Yes, make this very clear in life, very clear. Life is the Guru. That is my only Guru. It teaches me again and again to turn within. I have to turn within, discarding everything from the external.